if euthanasia and potentially eugenics are all about creating the right kind of human being, I wonder what Elon Musk has been up to. Now, he has decided to update everybody on what's going on with his robotics and AI company, or human augmentation, we might call it. And so he held a live stream yesterday where he's basically talking about his latest efforts to interface the human brain with microchips. And he's saying that he's going to have a chip ready to be implanted in clinical trials within the next 6 months. So we have a short clip from that live stream. Let's have a listen to what he was saying yesterday.
The overarching goal of Neuralink is to create ultimately a whole brain interface. So a generalized input-output device that, in the long term, literally could interface with every aspect of your brain, and in the short term can interface with any given section of your brain and solve a tremendous number of things that cause debilitating issues for people. So, so our long term is I'll talk a little bit about our long term goal. It's going to sound a little esoteric, but it was actually the sort of my prime motivation, which was, what do we do about AI? Like, what do we do about artificial general intelligence? If we have digital superintelligence that's just much smarter than any human, how do we mitigate that risk at a species level? How do we mitigate that risk? And then even in a benign scenario where the AI is very, very benevolent, then how do we even go along for the ride? How do we?
So Patrick, I don't know what you think of that. Have you any thoughts on what he's just said?
On the AI question, he's talking about the singularity, a sentient artificial intelligence. And I think a lot of that debate, that conversation, people who work in AI, top developers in artificial intelligence, whether they're from Hanson Robotics or they're from Google working on the DeepMind project, they'll tell you that we are so far away from the singularity as a sort of sentient AI has actual artificial intelligence. What you have now across all of these applications currently is narrow AI. So this is the ability to execute tasks, but do lots of different tasks based on processing power at a rapid rate. And hence it gives the appearance of artificial intelligence, but it has artificial competence. This is very different than artificial intelligence, is what Musk is talking about. So a lot of it's pie in the sky. A lot of it's just pie in the sky. But the problem with the Elon Musk conversation, at least in the alternative media sphere, is that there's two concurrent things going on. One of them is this debate about transhumanism and Elon Musk's role in that. And certainly that's a good thing to discuss and debate and flesh out. Then there's the other conversation now that he's taken this sort of vanguard position on free speech, which we'll talk about in a few minutes later in the segment. But these are two separate concurrent conversations going on. And a lot of people have the tendency to conflate both of them and then to basically dismiss Elon Musk's activities on Twitter, for instance, as an example, or other areas, and then conflate it with this nefarious transhumanist agenda. So I think we got to separate these two things because they might not actually be directly connected, although you can say he wants to roll out the one app with the X app and all of this stuff, but still, we actually do need a digital town square. We need a space for free speech and discourse. If Twitter becomes more open in that regard, that is a positive thing. And so he could be doing two different things, positive, negative. You have to sort of separate these things and look at them separately rather than, because a lot of people just want to write him off as a complete demon. And although some of the work might appear to be demonic, no doubt, we got multiple things going on, which makes it a little bit more complicated.
Right. Well, we will be talking about that a little bit more in a second. But in the meantime, if we stick with the narrow AI at least, uh, of course, he is promoting this as in the short term as being some way to deal with medical issues that people have in terms of Parkinson's disease or some kind of problems with with limbs or whatever. But in the meantime, of course, one of the main reasons for the pursuit of AI is, or one of the main areas of interest is in the defence industry. And the UK government continuing on with this is the Dstl. We've hosted a pioneering AI trial to build data sets to improve target recognition. And everywhere we go in the UK at the moment, we have this data set building exercise going on in every government department, and ultimately it's being plugged into machine learning and AI to some degree. And of course, alongside this, the UK government, the Ministry of Defence, has its Defence Artificial Intelligence Strategy. Let's just see what Ben Wallace had to say when this was published. AI has enormous potential to enhance capability, but is all too often spoken about as a potential threat. AI-enabled systems do indeed pose a threat to our security in the hands of our adversaries. So it's only when AI is in the hands of adversaries that it's a problem. But my question, Patrick, is who are the adversaries? Because if we remember what the UK Ministry of Defence position is on adversaries, home is no longer a secure sanctuary because they view the general public as being adversaries. And so my question, Patrick, very briefly is, if the UK government and the Ministry of Defence see the general public as being an adversary, and they hold the AI, but they see AI in the hands of an adversary as being a risk, should the public therefore view what the British government using this type of technology as a risk to them?
Right. So the public, at least in Britain or in the West, in the sort of free democratic West, the conversation about AI, all these boffins will like to sort of project and make that sort of a conversation about foreign power, about the Chinese and what the Russians are going to do if the AI falls into the wrong, evil hands of some nefarious foreign dictator. But the real conversation should be a domestic one. It's how your government will apply these technologies in local law enforcement, in a domestic setting. And if you look at the NHS, completely reliant on big data, on narrow AI, on ML, machine learning, and this is how they're going to administer national healthcare. And the police are moving in that direction. Last week we talked about the autonomous robots in San Francisco being shoot to kill, being given legal license for that. That passed this week, by the way. So they will be moving forward with that particular program, and they do have license to kill in certain circumstances. So the conversation should be a domestic conversation and not one about foreign. So I think the media will always project internationally on this against China and Russia, for instance, and not really want to talk about how these are being applied to treat people like cattle at home and how it becomes more inhuman, more impersonal, more sort of machine-based law enforcement and people management at home. That's the hallmarks of a technocracy. That's the conversation we need to have right now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. If you like what the UK column does, you would like to support us, please head over to community.ukcolumn.org. There are options to join us, and you'd be very welcome as a member of the UK column community, or you could pick up something from the UK column shop. But please do share everything that we produce that you find on the various platforms. Now, Patrick, let's move on to elections and Bulgarians protesting the reinstatement of paper election ballots. Could it be that some people aren't liking the electronic voting machines and perhaps the machine learning that goes with that? I don't know.
Well, no, this is actually a really bizarre way to kick this conversation off here. No, they're protesting the reinstatement of paper ballots in favor of machines. So this is a bizarre sort of development in